Power to the people pleasers. Have you heard that hormone imbalances are a result of putting yourself last? My name is Amy Ballantyne. I am the host of this podcast, this show, and I'm so excited to welcome my guest here, Kerri Hallman, who's a women's hormone specialist. How are you doing today, Kerri?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here. So I want to jump right in to understanding, can you relate to being a people pleaser?
Yes, absolutely. I would say more so in my earlier years, as I've obviously been educated more into women's hormones, it's changed, but definitely in my earlier years and more so when my kids were younger. I was definitely a people pleaser then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how did that show up in your life?
Oh man, how did it show up? I was always trying to be with other people. My schedule had to be packed, otherwise, I wasn't happy. My kids' schedules always had to be packed. I needed them to be busy as well because I felt like if they were idle, then there was going to be, disasters around the house and things like that. Always saying yes to things because I didn't know any different to say no, that I didn't have time. I just figured they need my help, I'll do it. And it showed up in a lot of those areas as well as family events, never saying no, always saying yes. I don't have a large family, so it's not like it was impacting our life too much, but definitely saying yes was a big part of it, but also always wanting to be perfect, always wanted to be showing people that no, we're good, like pleasing everybody, right? Making sure that we're all good, no problems here, I don't need any help. Meanwhile, now I know what it was doing to me. So,
Have you ever heard of the concept of the helium hand? I had never heard of this before. And for those people listening to the podcast, it's where your hand just kind of raises up like it's got a helium balloon attached to one of your fingers. Have you heard of that concept?
yes, just recently, but yes, I heard about
Oh my
it.
goodness. I am a recovering people pleaser. It's why I wanted to start this podcast, because I know there's more people like me. And I'd love to hear, we're here to talk about hormone imbalance and how that relates to putting yourself last. So where does this show up for your clients?
I find that if you're a people pleaser, if you're someone that has that helium hand that always says yes, what it ends in is burnout, because you can't go at full steam all the time. And unfortunately, our hormones aren't one of those things that they don't like what you're doing and they tell you right then. It's a compound effect. So if you're constantly saying yes, if you're constantly trying to please everybody and doing what they need to do and not what you need to do, your hormones are eventually going to say, hey, wait a minute, nah, not anymore. And they're going to start giving you signs and symptoms, and you're going to start not feeling well and getting headaches and not sleeping and gaining weight and having little energy. And that's the way our body tells us that, nope, you've said too much. You've said yes too much, and you need to slow down.
So what is your first piece of advice to people who are relating to this information you're giving us?
It's hard if you are a people pleaser, if you're a go person, it's really hard to slow down. But my advice would be really take into effect what it is you're actually saying yes to. Do you want to do this? Are you doing this because you're actually passionate about it? Or are you doing this to please other people? Because you're worried what they'll say about you. They're worried that they'll be upset that you didn't join the PTA, or they'll be upset that you didn't help at the neighborhood barbecue. Just look at your life and say, can I actually fit this in? Or am I having to move several other things to fit it in to please somebody else when I'm just going to be more stressed? I'm not going to be able to sleep, and it all snowballs from there.
Yeah.
So really taking into account what your life is like right now.
I love that. And there's this quote that I heard a long time ago that I have been reminding myself for many years. It's the saying no to the good things. Say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. Because I had this conversation once with a mentor of mine where she was like, and why are you doing all these things? And it really struck me when she told me this quote, that all of the things I was saying yes to are good things, right? And we need people to do the things, but they don't always have to be done by me just because I'm good at those things and I might be organized, or so that really struck me. So for step one for people is to really look at why are they saying yes. That's what you're suggesting. And then what would be the next step? So we're focusing on hormones. How do you specifically help your clients in that way?
So I get a lot of women that come to me and they are, having the symptoms of weight gain, low energy, can't sleep. Those are probably my top 3 that I see coming in. And without even doing testing, I can already tell you that they're in burnout phase, because it's usually the top key symptoms that come up. Mm-hmm. So I try to start with their food, because the external stuff comes. You have to start with things that you can control right now. Yeah. And food is one of them, right? And getting to bed on time is one of them. That's one of those things where it goes hand in hand with the saying no, because if you do too many things and you're involved in too much stuff, you're going to be out later and later and later, because there's only 24 hours in a day. So what I've been teaching them lately is time blocking. So if you need to go to bed by 10 o'clock and you're waking up at 6 or 7, this is the only time frame you have to do things during the day. So if you need to get to bed by 10, wind down by 9, whatever it is you have to do beforehand, you need to say no to anything that doesn't fit. Because sleep is most important, and then food. If you can get to bed and then you can get your food under control, where you're eating one ingredient foods, nothing processed, and putting food into your body on a regular basis, not skipping meals, that'll take a load of stress off your body to help you better accommodate the people pleasing. Mm-hmm. So we don't do it all at once. It's more of a step-by-step approach so that it's not all overwhelming. Oh my God, I have to give up everything right now. No, let's take one thing. What can you do right now? And usually it's they want to lose weight, right, is number one. So we start with the food to help with that. And then I find that once they realize how much they've been go, 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 I didn't even realize how much go, go, go I was doing until I literally took a step back and stopped. Now, when my kids were younger, definitely way harder to take a step back because they're busy and you've got to drive them everywhere. My kids both drive now and I'm not needed as much. So it's a lot easier to take that step back. Mm-hmm. But I also find when people get to have older children, they just go on more committees, right? Mm-hmm. And they volunteer their time, or they are a part of all these other things that cause them to be out late or on, just gone every day. So, or every night. So it's just making sure that you take, once you've got the food under control, you're going to bed at a regular time. Okay, let's work out what is, like you said, what is good, what is best, right? Mm-hmm. What are the things that you can take away that are just good? I'm just doing this because I should. Mm-hmm. I'm so passionate about this. Stay there. Yeah. But anything that's just, I don't want to go. If you ever get to like, the time comes where you have to do something and you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to go. That's kind of a sign that
it's a good indicator. That's what I tell my clients too. That's a really good indicator.
Yeah.
I love that. So I'd love to know, so let's turn the table a little bit to those individuals who are not volunteering all their time away. They're not running here and there for whatever reason, but their time is being sucked by other things, right? Watching the news, watching Netflix. I know we're post-COVID now, but some of these habits have been started and now they're really rolling. So what would be the 1 or 2 tips that you would give those people who the no is not to the volunteering or to the committees or to the external things? The no is within their own household.
So that is very individual, right? Because not everyone's surfing Netflix, or surfing Netflix. I guess that's surfing Netflix, or surfing the web, whatever one.
Social media.
Individual. Yeah, social media. It honestly is one of those things where people have to see that something is wrong before they change. So I do saliva hormone testing with my clients, and it's a visual that they can see that their body is in burnout. And I can say of all the testing that I've done, I have not had one that their cortisol is not dysregulated, which means they're in burnout phase. So every single person that I've done it on is in burnout phase, and nobody really gets it until you see it. But the tips that I can say for that are establishing a morning routine and establishing an evening routine, like a bedtime routine. So that can be, an hour is the minimum of turning off electronics and the blue light before going to bed. So if you have trouble going to sleep at night, your body's not going to be able to rest and recover. And then that's when a lot of hormone imbalances happen as well, because it hasn't had that chunk of time. And I'll give you a little tidbit here. Going to bed at 10 o'clock may sound really early, but between 10 and 1 a.m., that's when your body is repairing the growth hormone. If you don't go to bed before 1 o'clock, you're never going to get that back. So if you repeatedly go to bed at 12 or 1 o'clock every night, your body's never repairing. So it's never getting that chance to rest. So that's why it's so important to go to bed between that time slot. Now, when my clients are like, oh, but I'm a night owl, I really like to stay up late, then we move it back by 15 minutes every couple of days. Slowly bring it back. But that also means starting a nighttime routine, because you need to be cognizant of what's happening in your evening. I am one person who is not a night person. So I sit on the couch, probably within 30 minutes, I'm asleep. So I know that I'm not going to be up at night, but getting off my phone, putting it upstairs, not downstairs with me, right? Not sitting at your computer doing work an hour before you go to bed. The ideal is 3 hours to turn everything off and, turn the lights down in your house and go have a bath and do all these nice nurturing things. I don't know anyone, honestly, who can do 3 hours. But an hour is doable. Even if you go to bed at 10:30, 9:30, shutting things down, reading a book, really bringing your body down and letting it know, oh, it's time for bed, right? You got to prime it to go to bed, because we've been go all day. So I would just say morning routine is super important, making sure that you're not waking up, hitting the floor and going, that you're waking up, having a herbal tea, not coffee, having a good nourishing breakfast, taking that time to eat it, not, running out the door with that bar in your hand, or worse, skipping that meal because you have no time. Wake up 15 minutes earlier so you give yourself that time. My husband and I wake up super early, and we actually pushed our time back by 20 minutes so we could have that time to sit and read every morning, because I found that my cortisol, obviously when I was in burnout, was needed to have some nourishing. So we woke up 15 minutes early. We now wake up when it says 4 o'clock on the clock. So 4:50, we're up out of bed, and then I start my day at 5:45. So, but I need that time. And we don't realize it until we actually sit down and do it and go, oh, this feels so good. I get so many more books read, not that I need any help with that, but I get so many more books read because I give myself 20 minutes in the morning to read. If I get any more time during the day, it's a bonus. But I know for sure 20 minutes in the morning I get to read every day.
So I have to ask, because I am, I've got 3 kids. I would say that my sleep was really, really, really crap for a good 10 years. And I'm, the one moment of gratitude for COVID was that I actually slept in a little bit, because there was nowhere to be. And I do believe that I've caught myself back up to a really healthy state of sleep. But for those people like me whose kids are still young and we're, all on the move all of the time, and if you told me right now that you wanted me to wake up at 4 in the morning, I would slap you in the face. But I would say there's no way in heck that is happening. But one of the strategies that I've been doing is taking a real look at the nooks and crannies in my day for moments for me. Now, my sleep is not where I would say my challenge is. It's those moments for me. And so I've figured out that there's this beautiful window of 25 to 30 minutes after I get my older children out the door for school, and then before I have to take my youngest, that I can move my body in a way that feels good. I'd love to know the question that was coming up for me around, it's individual. The people may not all be on social media, may not be all on Netflix, all those people. I want to hear the people pleasing, let's say spouse, could be husband, could be wife, could either. Okay. The people pleasing spouse is staying up later because the other person wants to watch TV really long. How do you coach that individual? What would you say to that individual to help them realize that they have a choice?
So is the TV in the bedroom, is that the issue?
Yes.
Yeah. I would move the TV. That's what I would suggest, is move the TV so that that's not stopping you from going to bed. If that's not on the table, my next suggestion would be get an eye mask and get earplugs. Stick them in. I wear both of those because I'm very light sensitive, and I wear earplugs because my husband snores and breathes really loud. So even breathing is irritating at night when you can't sleep. So I wear the earplugs. I can hear everything, but it's just enough to block out that noise. So if the partner isn't willing to change the physical space of the TV, I would suggest that. I would also suggest having a conversation with the partner and just saying, I'm really trying to get better sleep, or I want to, balance my hormones, and this is what my coach is suggesting. Would you be willing to shut the TV off even half an hour early?
Yeah.
So it's sometimes those hard conversations, but if you even brought in them, right, and said, I would really like some time for just us. I think that we would do really well going to bed together. And I really cherish that time. And more make it sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Make it relatable for both of you.
Yes.
Instead of, right, positive, instead of like, oh my gosh, you're such a jerk. Like turn off the TV. I want to go to bed. Make it more like they're going to make the decision as well with you.
Yes. Yes.
But
benefits both people.
Yeah. And if they won't budge, then it's, one option is sleeping in a different room if there's space, right? Another option would be trying to get block out the light, block out the sound, and hopefully you're tired enough that you can go to sleep.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you. So I want to spin a little bit because we are getting closer to the holidays, and your number one approach, you said, for people with hormone issues is starting with food. So what about the people pleasing challenge of, being at the holiday gathering, and, we've got all sorts of different challenges there, right? There might be beverages to consume. There's beautiful displays of desserts everywhere, and staying out late. I mean, there's so many pieces of the puzzle. So what would be your, top 3 tips for the holiday party from your perspective?
Okay. Keep track if I don't, because I might not do like 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So I'm like wanting to jump in every time you said something. Okay. So as far as the food goes, I always let my clients know, bring something you can eat. So if you're going to a buffet or a potluck, bring one dish that that are going to keep your hormones happy, which are, unprocessed, it has clean ingredients in it. Bring something with you. As far as drinks, if you aren't willing to give up the alcohol, have a plan before you go and say, okay, I want it, because a lot of people that I work with like their alcohol, and they have noticed the effects of they've taken it out of their system, and then they have it at a party or whatever, and they realize they can't sleep, or they feel bloated the next day, or this or this or this. So go in with a plan. I'm going to max 3. And then if you get to 3, you're done, right? It's kind of a bit of a self-discipline, right? The other thing would be I've had some clients say I'm going to have 3 and they only have 1 because they realize that they're good. So then it's almost like a win-win that you're like, aha, I was okay with 3. Now I'm going to have 1, or I only had 1. So really going in with a plan is your best line of defense.
Love that.
As far as the dessert table, again, bring something that you can have. I am a sweets person. I've just found different ways, healthier ways to make them. We don't make a traditional chocolate cake anymore. No one in my house grieves about it. They're all like, oh, this actually tastes really good. And I'm like, well, there's no sugar in it. And and we go on and on. So there are ways. It's going to be harder at first because you have to get all the ingredients and you might not know about them. Your, nanny that's 90 might not enjoy it, but that's okay. Make 2, or there's going to be lots that's there.
Yeah.
I came across the situation where someone feels bad for asking someone else to help them. So they're on this hormone journey and they know that inflammatory foods don't serve them. Yep. They've realized this. But when they go out somewhere, whether it's to a restaurant or to a friend's house, they feel bad that they're asking, can I have something else? Would you be able to make something that doesn't have dairy in it? We have to get over that this is a selfish act. This is self-care. Because really, when you're putting, I'm sorry for the term, but garbage into your body, it's actually, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yes.
So putting that clean food into your body, you're actually doing yourself more good than if you just said, oh my God, I don't want to bother them. So I'm just going to eat it.
Don't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
They don't like me anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Meanwhile, you go home, you're feeling awful. You're probably bloated. You may not sleep that night. And then you're going to end up going, I don't ever want to go back there because you didn't ask for that help. Meanwhile, I don't know if anybody came to my house that asked me if I could, not serve meat. I might be like, okay, I'll serve it, but I'll make you something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can be the other way around.
What they don't know, right? You're not a mind reader.
Right. But it's unbelievable. I don't want to put people out. It's the people pleasing. I don't want anyone to have to worry about me. So if that's what you feel, bring your own.
Yes. And I've coached clients on if it's not a place that you can bring your own, although, most places you can just bring your own. But if that's really the case, what are the foods that are present that are aligned with the way that you've been eating?
Yep.
Most of the time you can find those things. And yes, there may not be a dessert that doesn't include those ingredients, but can you make do without the dessert this time? Yes, right? It's about really stepping into your own power of making the choices that feel best for you. And the only person that gets to really understand the power of that is you. And you're the one that has to deal with putting in, and your word, the garbage, I think is a great word, because it doesn't make your body feel good. Only you know that. Right?
And the other thing too is, do I eat clean 100% of the time? No. But I do it as much as I can because I know my body does better eating this way.
Yeah.
So if I go to grandma's house and she's got desserts out and I choose to have a dessert, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to get off plan. I'm not going to gain 100 pounds. I'm just choosing that day to have the grasshopper pie, or I'm trying to think of what my grandma would make, like ice cream parfaits. It's a choice that you're making and you have to be okay with it. Yeah. I really wanted that glass of wine. Okay, so enjoy that glass of wine, because if you have the glass of wine and then you beat yourself up after it, you're actually doing more harm on your hormones than you would if you just had the glass of wine and been like, oh my gosh, that tasted great.
I feel like you were just speaking my words. I love it. I love that I'm saying the right hormone specialist words. I love it.
Now, not every day having a glass of wine. This is like a special occasion, right? Like wine does have its effects.
Yes.
But it's the special occasions we're talking about.
Yes.
And
So not
if
every
you
day.
have 8 Christmas parties in a row, okay, maybe a glass of wine at each one is going to be a little bit much. So
Mhm.
again, it goes with the planning, right?
Yes.
Planning ahead of time. Which one do I want to drink at? Which
love
one can I be the driver?
Thank you, Kerri. I think we could talk all day, really.
Mhm.
So I want to, start to wrap up our conversation here, our discussion. What is one final thought that you would leave our listeners, audience with today?
Well, because we are on the power of people pleasers, I think that we all need to realize that pleasing people is only something you are thinking is happening. So nobody else cares what happens. So if you go home and you're stressed out and you can't sleep and you're upset with the things that happen because you said yes, nobody else cares. So you got to take care of yourself. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else.
Yeah.
So the more you put yourself out there, the more you're like, oh, I need to do this because Sue down the street's doing this. Oh, we need to get our Christmas lights up because everyone else has got them up.
Mm.
We just don't have time. But oh well, we're going to get out there at midnight and put them out, right? No one cares. No one really cares. And the only person that matters is you.
Yes.
And it's really hard for people pleasers to see that. But if you continue on the path of pleasing, and not pleasing yourself, you're just going to run into problems later on. So if you're 20 or 30 and you're continuing on this path, by the time you get to 40, it's just going to get worse. And your body's actually going to start telling you, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
yes.
And how can individuals reach out to you, connect with you if they want more information?
Yeah, so I spend a lot of my time on Instagram at kerri.hallman.fit or just my name, Kerri Hallman, on Facebook. I'm usually on those 2 platforms. You can also look at my website, which is on the screen right now. That's a good one too. But if you wanted to have any questions, if anything was sparked during this conversation, feel free to DM me on any of those 2 platforms, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions there.
Awesome. Awesome. And for those people who want to continue the conversation with me, you can always reach out to me at amyballantyne.com. My friends, Kerri, it was so awesome having you here today. You are truly making a difference for people. I see it all the time in the pictures on your Instagram of the lives that you're changing. It's really, really, it's so inspiring. And thank you for being so honest. I know I am a recovering people pleaser, and having these conversations are truly important for us to become aware of where we are holding ourselves back so we can make a change and make a difference in our own lives. So I want to invite those who've watched or those who've tuned in to stay tuned for the next episode of Power to the People Pleasers. Have a great day.